It's time for Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on into another edition of Bringing the Heat with Trey Lyle. I'm the aforementioned Trey Lyle, and due to some unique circumstances this week, we will have no Into the Inferno section, no interview for you this week, but we still have a great show. A lot of headlines have come through since the last time we talked, so let's just dive right in with Caleb Barnes and what's still hot.
What's still hot? It's time to upgrade you on the latest news in NASCAR.
Joining me now helps me produce the show, Caleb Barnes at Caleb Barnes _. Caleb, let's dive right into the latest headlines. Maybe some shocking news came out today. Josh Berry not expected to return to the Wood Brothers 21 car in 2027. Both Josh Berry issued a statement earlier today during a press conference, like an open media session with Ford, and then followed by the Wood Brothers team issuing a statement. We thank Josh Berry for all he's done for Wood Brothers Racing and our partners the last 2 seasons. Josh has been a great teammate, and we look forward to a strong finish this season. We wish Josh all the best moving forward. We will announce who will be driving the 21 Ford Mustang Dark Horse in 2027 soon, and we are excited for what lies ahead for Wood Brothers Racing. What was your initial reaction to the announcement, and any guesses on who could fill in that 21 for 2027?
Well, my initial reaction, it was surprising, but it was because Josh Berry was announcing that he would not return. Usually you kind of see that. I feel like normally you see that coming from a team, or if it's a driver announcing, it's because they're announcing that they have another thing lined up. But it was kind of surprising to see Josh just kind of announcing that he's not returning. And maybe he has plans for next year, maybe not. At the same time, just the way that his season has gone, it doesn't surprise me as much. And really not just his season, the way his entire time and the Cup Series and with Wood Brothers has gone. I keep going back to the stat. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was just talking about his DNF percentage and how high that's been since he's gotten to the Cup Series. And yeah, he had that win at Las Vegas last year, and yeah, it was due to a little bit of strategy, but that kind of got you thinking like, oh man, Wood Brothers, like they finally found their guy, because that car has been in a bit of a turmoil for a while now. But unfortunately, just, I mean, it would be a different scenario too, I think, if he was like still just kind of running like just a non-factor, running in the late teens or high 20s or mid 20s. But like, it's not even that. It feels like he's bringing out a caution just about every week. And so, walking down the pit lane at Michigan, I remember hearing tires squealing, and I didn't know who was out at the time. And I looked up and saw the 21 sliding off turn 4. And I was like, oh, not again, Josh. And so, on that side, I'm not surprised that they are making a change. On the other hand, I'm not too sure at who they go after and get. Like I mentioned, that 21's been kind of a tough ride the last few years, just with a lot of rotating pieces and drivers going in and out. And so at this point, Toyota's had a lot of drivers in and out, and you have the Toyota pipeline. You also have the Chevrolet pipeline that, you see some of their biggest prospects. But that's been another storyline is Ford, their absence from the O'Reilly series. And it's like looking down the line, it's kind of like, I don't know who you go to get if you're a Ford guy. So that will be an interesting storyline to watch. At the moment, I don't have any predictions. I was even just thinking through some of the current Cup roster of guys that might be out of a ride next year. And like at the same time, thinking through some of the guys in like the front row seats, would they want to move over to Penske / Wood Brothers? At this point, I feel like maybe those front row guys like Zane or Todd Gilliland, I feel like they're in just as good of a spot being with front row, and there'd really be no reason to move over to the Wood Brothers car. I don't know if any of if you give Chandler Smith, give him a year. If you try to see if Lane Riggs is ready, that's about the only things I can think of right now. But I'm sure as silly season pieces continue to move, I'm sure we'll see somebody take up that spot.
Yeah, it was weird. You could argue it was just Ford's lack of performance overall compared to, it's not like Josh was an odd man out when it came to Ford performance. Ford was just down, and he had obviously the win last year in Vegas. it definitely felt weird. I thought Josh, maybe if his crash rate was a little lower, that might not see this move. It does feel like that means they have a younger person. I think you mentioned Zane Smith in there. That's someone I would keep an eye on with his recent surges in performance. Obviously, he wrecked at Michigan, but he's had really good speed of late in that 38. That's a name to keep an eye on. I think Jesse Love is a name to keep an eye on,
That's a
considering
good one. I didn't think about that.
his future in Cup. Obviously, the unfortunate timing, there is an opening at RCR, but does Jesse Love get the opportunity with the 21? I could see maybe a Noah Gregson get it as well. More of a fun personality, kind of maybe of that ilk. Does he get the opportunity? Those are probably like three names that I would say are contenders for that ride. Other news and notes. Just more interesting. We don't have to talk about much about this, but the Time 100 Most Influential People in Sports came out, and Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin together were one, and the other was Carson Hocevar. I don't think we need to go too in depth on why Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin were in it, considering their lawsuit. But of the drivers to choose, do you think Hocevar was the most interesting one that they picked?
I mean, it makes sense just trying to think through the other guys, and just kind of their influence. You could, I think you could argue maybe Kyle Larson with his influence across like a number of different motorsports, from his dirt racing to what he's tried to do kind of on the IndyCar side. But I mean, at the same time, like Carson Hocevar, for better or for worse, he's being talked about every single week, and he's in that position that we've seen out of guys like Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski from whenever they first entered and they were really young and were rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And Carson's now in that same position there where he's rubbing a lot of people the wrong way, but he's got the personality and just kind of the social. I don't want to say the social skills, but like he's doing all these Twitch streams, he's going out and doing all these fan interactions that you just don't see other people doing. And not that it's a bad thing that other people aren't doing that either. I'm just saying like that is a reason why Carson is very influential. He's involved with the fans. He's involved in these online things. He's going to the Met Gala. Even I mean, I don't follow Cletus's channel a ton, or well, not really before he got into NASCAR, but like Carson's doing a lot with Cletus now, and that's also, I mean, Cletus already has a huge following, but I feel like some of that's also now transferring over to Carson. So it's like it is kind of like on one hand, it does feel kind of strange just because he's so young and so fresh and only has that one win. But at the same time, just the waves that he's moving with everything that he's doing. I mean, I don't know if you saw Trey that headline about the Lionel diecast sales from his Talladega win. It's like the most sought after diecast since they've been keeping track. I think the date was since like 2010. And you think through some of the other big racers like Dale Jr. that have won races, and there's been some popular diecasts from those, and yet Carson's Talladega race win is like even surpassed that. So he is moving the needle for a lot of people, and it's such like a at war thing for like the drivers who are like he's constantly rubbing people the wrong way, and then the fans and the media, they're like, oh, we love this because he's causing all these headlines and he's stirring the pot. And so I mean, that guy, whether you love him or hate him, I'm not saying you have to defend him every week. I'm not saying you have to attack him every week, but he is moving the needle and could be really influential in the coming years in NASCAR and the Cup Series.
Yes, it is indeed, Caleb. And I get why Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan made the list, obviously, because of the lawsuit and everything that went along with it. And, if you want to pick the biggest young gun, obviously, he's going to be part of our soundbite of the week with Bubba Wallace in a matter of moments. So we'll save more thoughts for Carson Hocevar. But I could see it. I could see why he, if you want to look at the younger guys, he's definitely the one the most influential, it appears, at this point. But it was interesting to see kind of this kind of summer of Hocevar, it feels like. Hurricane Hocevar, if you want to call it. Well, other news, hardest crash of the weekend belonged to obviously Christopher Bell. You were there. Caleb, at Michigan during that red flag. I think Mike Ford on Hauler Talk mentioned this was the hardest crash of the next gen era. However, it was announced by Joe Gibbs Racing the other day. He's been cleared to compete. However, he did suffer a fracture in his wrist, in his left wrist. How do you feel about the fact that about the crash itself, and two, Bell's ability to deal with this injury going forward?
Yeah, the crash itself was, I mean, it just, I feel like all these crashes are super circumstantial. And that one was just unfortunate time and place for Bell to be in with being on the outside of Elliott. I don't, it wasn't Chase's fault. He just got loose. I saw some Chase fans trying to say that it was Bell's fault because he got down on kind of the side, like was near the rear quarter panel of Chase. But number one, that's not how these cars work with the side force. Side force makes them get tight, not loose with these next gen cars. And then number two, like Christopher wasn't close enough to cause Chase to get tight or loose there. But I saw some, I think maybe the biggest thing that I saw that, like, if we want to try to make a change, again, it's just the corner speed in these cars is so high. Like there's not a lot of off throttle time. Whereas you look at back in previous generations of cars, when you had a lot of horsepower, yeah, they were still going fast, probably even faster down the straightaways, but then they're having to slow down more into the corners. So rather than moving at 170, 180 through the corners, they used to be going 150 to 160. So like if you want to try to take out some of these hard hits at these fast non-restrictor plate or non-super speedway ovals, like you got to do something to fix the corner speed. And that's a whole different rabbit hole to go down. But yeah, just the angle of that impact. Number one, he broke down the wall, literally, like destroyed the wall. They had to fix it. But then number two, after he came off the wall, then you have Chase that came up and hit him extra. And it happened so fast. Like, I don't think Christopher had a chance to get his hands off the wheel. That's why you see that injury. And like, again, I just think this crash was circumstantial. I don't know that it's something to be super alarmed about at the moment. It was, I will say it was kind of like odd. I was standing outside the media center waiting for Christopher, and just the longer we were waiting, the more I just had a feeling that like he wasn't going to be coming out to talk to us. Now, I was glad to hear that, like, whenever they came out and told us he was okay and wouldn't be doing any media. But I just remember seeing all the faces. I think like his Bell's wife showed up and went in there, and there's a lot of people from the team that kind of were showing up and sitting around the care center there. And so, like, I mean, I watched him get out of the car and walk over and everything. So, and I'm glad it's not a head injury. That's the other one that, like, we've seen a lot of those with this next gen car. So, props to him for saying that he's going to try to tough it out and try to go racing. It's going to be a tough couple of weeks to do that with the shifting at Pocono and then the extra shifting and turning and back and forth at these road courses. And then on top of that, it's just the summer months. It's the dog days of summer. It gets hot. So I think, I mean, those Gibbs cars have been so fast. And I think there's also an element here that, like, if Bell didn't feel like he could go out and compete, then he might think more about taking the few weeks off the heel. But I mean, Bell's pretty good at road courses. Whenever we went to a new course last year at Mexico City and SVG dominated, Bell was right behind him in second. So, hey, we'll see what he can do. We'll see if he can go out and make some noise and finally get that win that he's been chasing after all season. But he's going to have to grind it out. And we'll see, like, talk about the old generation of racers, the blue collar guys, like, and just how tough they are. Well, this is a chance to show that even our modern racers, even though they have all this technology and people may not see them as tough, like, hey, Bell's going to have to gut this out the next couple weeks.
He will indeed. I think he's able to do it. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. He's got a teammate in Denny Hamlin that's been able to, he's basically racing with one shoulder this season, has done pretty well for himself. So I would expect Bell, who's had the speed, to get a win here in these next couple of weeks. I would not bet on San Diego or Sonoma, but at Pocono, Chicagoland, those are two places that I think Bell is amongst the group of favorites. Speaking of San Diego, Truck Field keeps getting more interesting and interesting. as it was announced this week that driving for McAnally Hilgerman, excuse me, Brendan Gaughan returning to NASCAR. This is pretty cool. The former Las Vegas, obviously the Las Vegas native, driving in the Truck Series race at Coronado in San Diego. This is adding to a loaded field. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson going to be a part of it, amongst others. Jamie McMurray going to be in the Ram truck, if I'm not mistaken. This is a pretty interesting group, or isn't it, Caleb?
Oh yeah, it's a super fun group. I mean, like it's really tough that we go from Michigan to Pocono before San Diego, because with all the talk and the noise that I've heard from San Diego, it feels like that's where we should be going this next weekend. It feels like everybody's just not even thinking about Pocono for the most part, unless you're Denny Hamlin or one of his fans. But yeah, that whole weekend is going to be really fun, and it's cool to see the Truck Series getting some of these one-off drivers to go in. I'm curious to see how competitive they'll be. I feel like, I mean, whatever series from, I mean, even the Cup, the O'Reilly, and then down on the trucks, like no matter the series, we have all these guys that come in and will try these one-off races, but the top of the field in all three divisions are just so stacked with so much talent. But yeah, like it'll be good to see Brendan back on the racetrack and see what he can do. Jamie McMurray and that Ram stuff. I know Rams kind of, I think they're starting to maybe find themselves a little bit. They were having some pretty good runs at Michigan until some like Corey LaJoy, I think, was top 10, and then had a tire go down, and so they're growing, but they still are missing out on some of the resources and everything. But like, I'll be curious to see how Jamie McMurray can do, and then yeah, Jimmy Johnson in the field, like that'll be fun to see, and yeah, it's an exciting truck field for sure. Trey, do you think any of those guys finish top 10 when it comes to the checker flag there in San Diego?
No,
that was quick.
no, I don't think so. Is SVG going to be in it? That's what I want to know.
Oh, have they announced that? I don't think.
If SVG or Zillich are in it, I will pick them.
I don't think they can, because there's that rule.
Oh, yeah. They can't, because you're right. That's a good rule. Yep, you're right. So they're gonna, because obviously in the 88 is Raja Karuth, who's running the they're running the Navy throwback scheme, like from when Brad was
I forgot
was
about
there as a HendrickCars.com. So yeah, never mind. Well, man, who I also, you know what, actually, considering he's improved at road courses, he might get a top 5 at San Diego, is Bubba Wallace, and obviously he became the spotlight of the post race. And he is our focus for the soundbite of the week.
Well, Tony, what angered you at the end of the race? What did you take issue with?
What the hell do you think I was mad about? Dumb little runs us clear down to the infield. He wants to about everybody else, and he's the one that drives like a little. I'm going to bust his ass.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
It's your track races.
It's time for the soundbites of the week.
This comes back to this
position. Really, the position you were in was near the front, so there's really not a bad way to look at that, right?
I mean, it's 5 weeks of Bubba Wallace making an excuse, his fault or not. So I look at it as I needed to be better. I needed to be leading the restart. I think the 5 and the 9 didn't get any damage. I don't know. But yeah, just need to be better, and we were able to execute today. So.
What'd you say to Carson there at the end?
He's fast. He's fast, and he deserves to be in victory lane multiple times out of a year. But making mistakes is going to cost him, and he hasn't realized that yet.
So you were trying to like both encourage him and set him on the right course? Yeah.
You know, yeah. He's playing the game. The point by, letting me and Larson by, and the 43 by was nice, but it doesn't ease the pain. That's what I told him. It's like, you have to, I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, but you're having to do that because you're like, oh man, I wrecked that guy earlier. I wrecked him last week. I got to just stop hitting shit. You can race to your potential.
Do you think he listened? Do you think he listened?
So far. Who knows? We'll see. Find out next week.
So, Bubba Wallace, the next driver on the list for Carson Hocevar. Obviously, he caused a big wreck in this race. Caleb, you were there giving the, I believe this was you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be sure. Thoughts on this situation? Bubba, do you think this will finally break through for Carson Hocevar?
I don't know what it's going to take to break through for Hocevar, because we've seen all these drivers and all the talk about it, but I've been thinking about it in a couple of days. Like, unless guys are racing him harder, like when he's trying to lap them or throughout the field, and we're just not seeing it, like, I feel like there's been all this talk, but no one's gotten him back yet. Not saying that people need to get him back. There's also probably some hesitancy around that given recent penalties with Ryan Preece and everything. But I mean, Bubba's right. Like, everybody notices just how fast Hocevar is. I mean, I remember whenever he first hopped into that 42, after Noah Gregson got kicked out in, what was that, 23? Like, that 42, Gregson had struggled in that car all year. And then Carson gets in and is running top 15, top 10. I mean, he was like top 5 at points in that fall Bristol race. And so, like, he's a very talented driver. Like, even whenever you look at guys coming through the ranks, and Connor Zilic, Corey Day, and people are like, oh, this is the next so-and-so, and they're talking about how fast they are. Like, Carson didn't necessarily get that treatment, that hype whenever he was coming up through the truck series. It took him a few years to get that first win. But, man, I mean, he is very fast. And this was a very different race weekend from the perspective of, like, a lot of these other weekends, even at Nashville, being set by the metric and some of these other things, he's had to start deeper in the field, or they've had an issue on a pit stop that puts him deeper in the field, and then he has to race back through, and you see some of that speed there. But this weekend, he was up front pretty much. He started up front, and he was up front pretty much the whole race. And, like, it was an opportunity to maybe not have to race so hard, because as opposed to starting deep in the field and you're having to make up all that ground, like, he was already up there. And restarts, like the one where he turned John Hunter, like, that was middle of stage 2. You still got plenty of time to make moves and those sorts of things, and you don't have to be so impatient. And like, it's just such a similar thing to, like, Ross Chastain, maybe to guys like Joey Logano, to, like, when you see their personality outside of the car, and that's what people love, or some, maybe in the case of Logano, like, people love or hate them for that. But then it's like they get in the car and put on that helmet, and their brain, I don't know where it goes, but it just disappears. And like, I love the meme, like, if Gap car. I don't know if you've seen that one, Trey, with Carson Hocevar and if Gap car. Like, that's literally that. I mean, it's funny because that's exactly how Carson drives. And so, like, Bubba talked about him pointing him by at the end. I think part of that too was also Hocevar felt like he was courting a tire, and so he didn't have as much to race with. But that was the whole that Bubba's talking about, is, like, if you don't continuously run into guys in previous weeks, you don't feel like you owe them one. And then at the same time for them, like, I think Bubba was still frustrated because one of those restarts, I think Bubba was one of the ones that was on the outside when Hocevar got tight and kind of ran him up the track, and they all lost spots together. And he's just trying to make the point of, again, like, if you use your brain a little bit and you don't fight for everything like it's the last lap, then, like, these are long races. It's something that Kyle Larson had to figure out when he first got to the Cup Series. It's something that Tyler Reddick, like some of those dirt guys, took them a while to win. These are long races, and you have time to get things back, as opposed to making mistakes and then having to try to pay it back later. So, man, Carson's such a fast and entertaining driver. I do wish some of his fans would, like, maybe lay off a little bit and just realize that, like, hey, it's okay. Our driver made mistakes. I know people aren't happy. You can still support him anyways, but you don't have to go after the driver that's frustrated, because these drivers have a right to be frustrated. I just don't know, like, when it's going to start, when these drivers are going to start cashing in their checks on that 77 car.
We'll see, indeed. Well, we only got one more thing, Caleb Barnes, and that's to wrap this podcast up with the checkered flag.
It's going to be a drag race all the way back to the start-finish line. No caution. They're side by side, right to the line. Big crash. Here they come. Checkered flag.
The checkered flag is out, and it's time for the final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Anything you want to rant, rave, or review?
I had something, Trey, and I forgot what it was. But the other thing that just popped into my mind is I think Denny Hamlin has a good shot at getting this to 70 wins. I know he's at 63 now. I know that's 7 away, but I mean, I think he's the heads-on favorite. I think it's Denny versus the field at Pocono this weekend. That gets him to 64. I think it's pretty easy for him to pick up 1 or 2 more by the end of this year. And I mean, that's the question that's been starting to swirl around: is if Denny's still performing next year, is he still going to retire? He's going to leave at the top of his game, and I think it's really hard to walk away if you're staring 70 wins down the barrel. I don't know if he's going to be able to tie Earnhardt. That's 76, but and Denny's been very open about, like, at some point you kind of do start to hit that decline, but he's not hitting it right now. That's very obvious. So I think he gets to 70. I don't know when, but I think it happens.
Oh, well, I always love breaking news while we're recording.
Oh, what happened now, Trey?
We're add another name to the list of San Diego truck drivers. Justin Marks going to drive a truck for Spire Motorsports. So add that to the list. Pretty interesting. So
okay,
Justin Marks. So add that to the list. The obviously owner of Trackhouse is now going to ride for Spire Motorsports. I feel like he did a truck. Was it a truck race last year for Spire as well? He did one last year, right?
I'm trying to remember the ones that he's done. He did one in the Colleague 10 at Chicago, and I'm trying to remember. Maybe
as the owner of track, like for the owner, yeah. So, anyways, that's happening.
Yeah.
2 notes. I want to mention Samantha Bush posted on Instagram about why Brexton is going to keep racing and what was it like being back at the racetrack with Brexton. Check out a couple tributes they've done at the summer shootout. They're on Twitter with Kyle's dad and Brexton and so on and so forth. Kurt also put out a statement this week, and do want to mention that as well. But in a lighter news. On this date, so we're recording June 10th, in the year of our Lord, in 2008, an underrated NASCAR video game came out, and it was NASCAR 09. Obviously, it was the final of the EA series, NASCAR Total Team Control 06, shout out to that, NASCAR Thunder 2003, NASCAR Thunder 2004, all bangers of a game, NASCAR Chase for the Cup, like all bangers of the video games. But NASCAR 09 was an underrated. It was the final game. It was an underrated, I think, NASCAR game over the years. Why is it underrated and not in the upper echelon? Because it had the all-time bag fumble of not having split screen. You could only race online. You couldn't have split screen, which, to me, is like one of the most enjoyable parts of the NASCAR game is like playing with your buddies in split screen. And when I was a kid, one of us would drive backwards, one of us drive forwards and try to wreck the other person or wreck the rest of the field so that one person could win.
That's what my brother did.
So you have like iRacing, you had you have to have split screen. Just plain and simple in every NASCAR video, in any racing video game whatsoever. Plain and simple. Even though split screen is not as what it used to be, online is such a bigger thing now, but still. I will always believe in split screen. But that, yeah. And
I do remember, Trey. I was going to ask, have you seen the San Diego mini movie since we were talking about that San Diego?
I actually have not, so I need to check that out. So is it good?
Yeah, if you have not seen the San Diego mini movie, it's really fun. It's something that I wanted to get the chance. I didn't get the chance to ask all the drivers. It was a weird schedule at Michigan. We had the truck race and then cup stuff afterwards, so some of the drivers weren't necessarily in the mood as much as they would be normally because they just ran the truck race. But it was a fun little mini movie, solid piece of content. So whether you're going to watch it now or wait and get through this Pocono race and get yourself hyped next week, the Pocono mini movie, that's a fun little watch.
San Diego mini movie, not Pocono mini movie.
San Diego mini movie, a Pocono. Oh, that'd be. Anyways, the Mountains of Love. That could be the next mini movie if they want to continue a series. I don't know what they do with that, but yeah, that. And I also just saw. I wanted to give a shout out to Cars. 20 years. Watched that movie last night.
Yeah, another nostalgia play. Yeah, shout out to Cars as well. All right, for @CalebBarnes_. I'm Trey Lyle VT. You can follow us, check out our content. Hopefully we'll have an interview next week. Knock on wood. Hopefully no hurdles. We're going to work on that for you folks. So, but signing off for now. By the way, I did mention it. Yes, I did end up getting married. So it's done. Shout out to my bride, Storm. It did happen. So we'll end with that. For Caleb Barnes at Caleb Barnes _ I'm Trey Lyle at Trey Lyle VT. Shout out to Chris Graham as well for helping us behind the scenes. That will do it all now for this episode of Bring the Heat.